So true to my form, which is formless. I don't have a project that is probably quite as defined as others. My project is based on my interest and my passion to understand how things work, and so I've kind of aligned my thought with this model here, which represents us. This is the institution, CSI, and it was designed for a particular purpose, and it has different components that operate individually and collectively to do a specific job. And there are a couple key pieces missing from this, so the analogy kind of needs to be kept fairly general and superficial, but I want to understand how this thing works for what it was intended to do. And to make that specific, as Jana mentioned, we're a community college, and I'm interested in understanding, as a community college, what were we really designed to do? And I want to be that element in this system that is analogous to a governor. I don't know how many of you know what governors are, is they play roles in an internal combustion engine, but a governor is an interface between the machinery that is the engine and a particular piece of equipment that's, in this case, the carburetor. And the carburetor has a unique function that might be analogous to our students. And these devices, carburetors, ultimately have the ability to make this engine work really well for its designed intent, or to perhaps not work really well for its designed intent. And the governor is a feedback loop between the engine's workings and the ability of the engine to do work, the carburetor. So I see myself as a sensor, and my sensory abilities are not innate to me. It's just based on my interest in understanding higher education and my opportunities to kind of look inside the machinery and play certain roles or not play other roles, or observe certain roles and not observe certain roles, but see how it works together for its intended purpose. So my fellowship is attempting to take snapshots as a sensor as I go about my normal course of events, which is pretty chaotic and nondescript, but to allow there to be some feedback in terms of my interpretation of how the machine is operating in regard to itself and its individual components and the students, and provide feedback, not to judge, but simply to say, I'm observing things that seem to be coincident with what its intended purpose is, or I seem to be sensing things that I don't understand. So my fellowship isn't about deciding what's right or wrong. I'm a sensor. I'm out there looking for things. I'm sensitive to my interpretation of what the institution is meant to be, and my interpretation of what students are and how they work together to do this thing we call higher education, and understand its value. So my fellowship is simply about being a sensor, and I'm sensitive to some things and not sensitive to other things, but I'm being upfront in terms of where my sensory bias is, and I'll let the system interpret that and do with it as it will.